welcome to Knit Sense. My name is Jan, and you can find me as Jan Ellen RN on Ravelry and on Instagram. You can also find me as Knit Sense on Instagram. Trying to sort of transition over, but that's not working out so well. We also have a Knit Sense forum on Ravelry, and we do have a knit along going on the forum at this point. It will run from August through the end of September. The information is all on that thread on the Knit Sense podcast forum. It is actually a whip along. So if you post an in-progress whip between now and the end of August, first day of September, we're going to be drawing a prize for that, and then we will be drawing another prize for the finished objects at the end of the month in September. So I hope you will join us on that. If you've never been here or visited my channel before, if you like what you see, I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button and ring that bell to make sure that you get all notifications of any uploaded episodes. And if you like this episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Today I am going to be doing a review, a needle review on, it actually was going to be only on one particular set of needles, but I did get another very similar needle, so I decided we'll do them all together because it's basically the same thing. So initially I was very intrigued by the new, I don't actually even know how new they are, but I had heard, and I recently been able to find a set of the ChiaoGoo Twist Shorties. Now they had made these in smaller sock sizes a while ago, and that wasn't what I was looking for. I was specifically looking for the larger sizes, and this particular set comes in sizes 4 to 8, and the reason I was looking for them particularly was for sleeves. That's what I wanted these for. We all know sleeves are not my favorite thing to knit, as I will show you in a second what I actually pulled out to try the needles on. But I saw these, and I actually did have the opportunity, I think, to try these in the smaller sizes at SSK. And when I found out that they came out with them in sizes 4 to 8, I knew that would be perfect for most sleeves. Of course, the other sweater that I'm working on calls for a size 3. So I may actually have to look at the shorter set. I don't think it goes up to a 3. I think it goes up to a 2. So of course it falls right in the gap there. But at any rate, so I am going to be reviewing these ChiaoGoo Twist Shorty sets in the larger sizes. And when I say larger sizes, I mean not the sock sizes, but these are the size 4 to size 8. And at the same time, I did receive a pair of the brand new Signature Needle Arts. I'm looking in the thing for them, not realizing they're already up. Socks, boy, we're getting started right off on the left foot today. Anyway, if you are not aware, Signature Needles came out with their own 9-inch needle. It's currently only available in the size 1, which is the US size 1, 2.25 millimeter. And again, if you go by sizes, that's fine. 2.25 in US sizes is size 1, but Addi needles do run differently. So just so that you're aware, if you use a size 1 Addi, it probably is not a 2.25. So I only want to point that out, because if 2.25 millimeter is your sock size needle, and it does happen to be the size that I use for all of my socks, then you will be good to go. But right now, this is the only size that this 9-inch Signature needles are available in. And the reason I received a pair of these, and I guess it's safe to say now, we did have to sign when we tested these. I actually did test out the prototypes on these needles, and it was about, I'm going to say, at least a year ago. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there were 2 prototypes. I don't even remember. It was so long ago that I tested them. But when I do go into these and review these, I will tell you about some of the changes that they did make to the prototypes, which make these needles actually really, really nice to use. So I'm gonna actually do that last. And we're gonna start out with the ChiaoGoo shorties. They are in the blue container and they come in the blue pouch and they come looking like this. And I have to say, when I opened this out and I took it out, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. Because there's 2 sets of each size in this little pouch. So there's 2 sets of size 4s, there's 2 sets of 5s, you get the idea. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's 10 sets of needles in here. In this itty bitty little pouch. They retail, I've seen them online for anywhere from $90, I think I've seen them go up to as much as $120. I will link where I got them from. I got them from an Etsy shop, which I believe is actually a yarn store. I'm not sure, I don't want to swear by it, but I will link the shop that I got them from. I did get them at the $90 price. They came very, very quickly, I think within 2 or 3 days. The only thing well, let me go into explaining what you get with it, and then I will just give you a precaution if you do decide to purchase these. Okay, there's a split ring on this. I have no clue how to open it, and I'm not going to sit here fidgeting with it. Okay, all right, whatever. There's a zipper in the front. There's a little pocket. There's nothing in this pocket. This pocket is empty, so you can use it to store extra stitch markers or whatnot with you. I will say that because of the size of this, if you are working on a sweater and you want to throw this in your knitting bag, this is so light and so tiny that you can throw this right in your knitting bag and you'll have your needles ready when you are ready to work on the sleeve. So let's open up the inside. And inside there is a separate package. This is what holds your needles. There is also in here a very tiny little needle gauge, which I thought was just too cute. Let's see if that will. All right, well, you'll know what a needle gauge looks like. Trust me, it's a needle gauge. They also threw in a whole bunch of those end stoppers, and there must be, gosh, at least 3 if not 4 of the T-bars or T-pins that tighten up your needles, and a couple of stitch markers in there as well. So that came in there. And then you have 3 cords that come with it. I hope this is focusing on there. Let's see. There we go. And the 3 cords will make anywhere from a size 9 to in a 15-inch cord, a 14-inch. Okay, so you can make anywhere from a 9 to a 14-inch circular cable with these 3 cables. Now, having said that, okay, that's all tucked into this little envelope here. In this little packet are your needles. And I'm going to open this carefully. Now, if you do decide to order them, and you find, this is actually on a sweater, which I'm going to be showing you and knitting on, so I'll show you how it works. If you find that one of your needles is missing, or there's missing needles, there's a space in between here, and I did find some of the needles had come out of the pocket and fell in here. I was like, oh gosh, don't tell me half of the needles are missing. But at any rate, they all matched up. Everything was in here. Just a heads up, if you do get this, if you do decide to order it and you get it and needles look like they're missing, look around inside in here, and that's probably where you're going to find them. So they stick in very nicely. Now, here's what I'm going to show you. These are size 4s up to, actually I'm going to use the larger size. I think it will be easier for you to see. Oh, and my thumb, those of you who've been watching know I got injections in my thumb, and all of a sudden it's like starting to wear off. So this is getting a little painful. Here we go. Okay. These are the 2-inch tips. So if you take the 2-inch tip and use the, what? Hold on. I'm looking for the cable sizes, but it's not here. If you use the smallest cable size and the 2-inch tips, you get a 9-inch circular needle. These are the 3-inch tips. So you get both. You get a 3-inch tip and you get a 2-inch tip. I will show you the sleeve that I'm working on right now. I have it on this, I'm using the smallest, I'm using a size 5 needle on my sleeve, and I'm using the 2-inch one. And I wanted to go with the smallest one. Usually it's go big or go home. Well, this time it was go small or go home. I wanted to try the smallest one and see if it was workable, because I figured if I can manage with the 2-inch, I certainly can manage with the 3-inch. So just so you know, you can use anywhere from a 9-inch to a 14-inch, but I did bring down my regular ChiaoGoo lace cords from my regular set of ChiaoGoo lace interchangeables, because I wanted to see if these will work, and they do. They fit on here perfectly. So while these are made to go on a smaller cord, obviously, if you happen to have all of your needles on whips, as I usually do, just so you know, these will fit on any of your ChiaoGoo cords. So that's nice to know, that if you, especially with the 3-inch one, I don't know that you'd want to be working with the 2-inch, Mr. Cat. No, last time you threw everything over. Thank you. I know, squeaky chair noise. Okay. So we can get rid of this now that we know that you can use these short tips on any size cord. You can use them on the short cords that come with your needle set, and you can also use them on any other ChiaoGoo cord. So that's what you get in your kit. You get 10 needle tips, 5 sizes, 2 sizes in each, 2-inch and 3-inch. I thought for sleeves these would be perfect. Just let me look in here. I believe also you get needle stoppers. You do get needle end stoppers, so like if you want to take the needle off to use for something else and you don't want to, you take your stitches off, you can put these on the ends and your stitches will stay on hold on the cord, and you can take off the needle tips. But there also is, flying around in here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there also is an extender. So you can make the cords that you have longer, as well as using another cord if you happen to have sets of ChiaoGoo interchangeable larger needles. So you can take this and make, let's see, what size cords? 8 and 5, so up to a 13-inch cord using this, plus consider the length of the needle. So you do have a good amount of flexibility size-wise with the needles. So let's get down to really the nuts and bolts of it. What is it like working on a 2-inch needle? We all know I do not like doing sleeves. I've tried 2 circulars, I've tried magic loop, I've tried double points. And it's the same thing with my socks, which I will talk about when I get up to the signature needles. And I really was hoping that somebody would come out with a 9-inch needle in a sock size that would be usable. So I dug up my Sapilla sweater. And those of you that have been with me for a while, this is going to look strangely familiar. This has been sitting exactly like this far done, for almost 2 years. My kids got me this yarn. Well, actually it's over 2 years, because 2 years ago, Mother's Day, they bought me the yarn to make this short sleeve, not even the long sleeve, short sleeve version of this sweater. It stopped with the sweater with the sleeves on a holder. And I put the sweater down. That was the end of the sweater. The whole body was done. Everything was done. Okay. So enter in, and I did start the sleeves doing magic loop, and I didn't like it and was just sort of leaving it. So enter the needles. So I put these on, and I did want to try them out a little bit before I did this review, obviously, because I wanted to be able to speak to how they were working. Number one, can you adjust to the 2-inch size? Is it possible to work with it? And all I can say is the answer is yes. Now, take into consideration, I have smaller hands. So I don't know how this would work for somebody that has larger hands. I could say from just looking at this sleeve, and I'm doing, I think, the 3rd size of this sweater, I could have gone up to the 3-inch needle, but I wanted to try the smallest, shortest tip, figuring however that worked, it would be a little bit easier on the larger tip. And these have been no trouble at all. These are really, it's a little bit of an adjustment to handle the smaller tip, but I do have to say this is not the only short tip needle that I have. I don't think I've ever used a 2-inch needle, but I have used in the Licca needles. I know has a set of needles. I have them, the interchangeable set that makes down to a size 16-inch cord for when you're doing a neckline. And then when you increase the body and increase the stitches, you can go up and just change the cord out and keep on going on your sweater. So I have used, and I'm pretty sure those are 3-inch needles. So I have used 3-inch needles before. Unfortunately, it didn't come down to they didn't come with 9-inch cords. The smallest you could make out of those was a 16-inch. So maybe I'm thinking, maybe it's a 4-inch needle. Maybe the tip is 4-inch, actually. I think that's the smallest. Yeah, I think that is the size of the needle, is a 4-inch. And I'm just sitting here and you can see that it's not a struggle at all to be working on this. And I am using, again, like I said, the 2-inch needle. So I'm going to now try, I'm going to take a close-up and let you see what this looks like using the 2-inch needle. Now I also happen to have a gaping hole here where I joined the yarn. That was an issue in my other sweater, which unfortunately somebody came up with a great suggestion on how to avoid it, and unfortunately it was too late for this sweater. I had already started it. So I'm actually going to switch over to my other camera and let's try doing a close-up so you can actually see what my hands are doing. Okay, so now we're going to zoom in and we're actually going to take a look at knitting with the 2-inch needles close up. Now I'm looking actually through the monitor on the camera, so it's a little bit more difficult than if I was knitting in front of me. I actually have the camera in between me and the knitting. But as you can see, let's wait for it to focus. There we go. It goes very, very smoothly over the join. There's nothing getting hung up. It's going very smooth over the join. As I said, I could probably have gone with the 3-inch tips, having this many stitches on the needles, but I really wanted to give the 2-inch a try, figuring if I could work with that, I knew I could work with the 3-inch. And this is making knitting the sleeves a total pleasure. It's just totally going around in the round. There's no worry about extra cord. There's no worry about stitches slipping off of double points. It's super, super simple. Again, I do want to preface it by saying that I do have smaller hands, but having said that, I also do have issues with arthritis, the trigger finger, the whole bit, and this is not hurting or bothering my hands in any way. There is a small adjustment, I am going to say, if you're used to using a larger size needle, but this was not a difficult, I've not been using these for long, and I'm finding them a total pleasure to work with. And again, these are lace tips. So if you're used to the ChiaoGoo lace, red lace needles, let's see if we can get this to focus. Come on. There we go. It's the same tip. It's exactly the same tip as the red lace needles, just shorter. So I would highly recommend giving these a try. If you've always wanted to try a 9-inch circular on sleeves, I have tried them before. I've had problems with the join. I've had problems with the tips not being smooth enough, and it's snagging, and it just not making it worth the adjustment to the length of the tip. I don't find any of that with this. I find that the join is perfect. The tips are pointy enough that it makes the experience totally worth the adjustment to the smaller size needle. So let me go back to, now that you've seen, you know, how it looks close up, and you can, let me just see if this will, let me focus in on this. I actually started this sleeve using Magic Loop, and I don't think you can see, to me, I don't see where it's even changed my gauge. It looks pretty much the same to me. I wouldn't recommend using 2 different needles in the middle of a project, but for a review, you got to do what you got to do. So let me zoom back out again. Okay, so I hope that showed close up just how easy it was to knit with these 9-inch needles. I find them very pleasant to use. They're not hurting my hand. I really, and I when I go into the signature needles, I'm not sure if it's because the size is a little bit larger and maybe that makes it easier to grip. But overall, if you find that you're like me and sleeves just are nothing but a headache, I really would recommend giving these a try. Again, these are the ChiaoGoo Twist Shorty set. They come with 2 and 3-inch tips, both in US sizes 4 through 8, and they come with 3 cords in 5, 6, and 8-inch lengths. They come with end stoppers, tightening keys, connectors, stitch markers, and a needle gauge. So that was the Twist Shorties. And the funny thing is, I have to add this in, like I said, this sweater, the body of the sweater has been done for over a year, at least. Because like I said, this was, I'm pretty sure 2 Mother's Days ago, at least last year Mother's Day, if not longer, that the kids got me the yarn for this sweater. And when I put this back and changed over the needle, I realized I only have to knit 2 inches of underarm on both because I'm doing the short sleeve version. So theoretically, I could have had this sweater for who knows how long if I had bothered to just finish the sleeves. So now we know I'm hopefully not going to be sitting on Sleeve Island any longer. Okay, moving over to the signature needles, which I just cast on so that I could start from scratch with the needles. Again, I actually am going to need that camera again. These are what they did when, again, like I said, I did test out the prototypes of these needles, and I believe they came in the midi and the stiletto. There was a pair of each. It was so long ago, I don't want to misspeak, but I think so. Not 100% sure. The problem was I loved the stiletto tip because I do love me some pointy tips, and all of my signatures are in the stilettos, but I am a pusher. And it was starting to hurt my finger pushing it. So what they did was apparently I was not the only one with that issue. so they took the advice, I guess, and made one side of the needle a stiletto and one side a midi, which is great because you can knit with the side that's pointy, with the stiletto side, and then push with the side that's not quite as sharp and going to dig a hole in your, draw blood, let's put it that way. And yeah, I have drawn blood from, from my stilettos before, from pushing. See, I'm pushing, but I'm pushing on the midi and actually knitting with the stiletto. Now, these are fixed. And I know that the signature needles now are no longer fixed. The years, I don't want to say years ago, I think they changed it, I'm gonna say about 2 years ago, from fixed to only, and I don't even want to say interchangeable because they're not interchangeable. Signature needles, when you buy, you purchase a tip and then you have to purchase a cord that goes with that tip. So in other words, the size 5 cord isn't going to fit the size 6 needle. So they're not technically interchangeable. So if you buy, say, a size 5 and you get a 32-inch cord and then decide you need a longer cord, you need to then go back and purchase a size 5 40-inch or 44-inch or 24-inch cord. But if you buy a size 6-inch tip, you can't use the cords on those. You have to buy the size 6. These are fixed. And right now they only have, as I said before, the one size. So if the 2.25 size works for you, then that's perfect. The other adjustment that they made, which was my biggest issue with the prototype, and I am so glad to see that they fixed it, was the join. It was that you had to really work your stitches to get them over the join. And that kind of not only took the fun out of making the socks, but it kind of defeated the purpose of, you know, why am I going to do this on a smaller needle when I now have to, okay, I don't have to deal with double points and I don't have to deal with pulling cables back and forth, but I have to keep pushing my stitches over the needles. No more. This slides over the join like an absolute dream. It just goes round and round and round. Now I will say this is actually a little bit more of an adjustment to get used to these needles than the larger sizes. And I'm chalking that up to the fact that the needles, not just the tip size, because I believe these, that's interesting. You know what? That's an interesting question. I'm not sure if these are 2 or 3 inches. I believe, just from looking at it, it looks like they're 2 inches. Yeah, these are 2-inch tips. But the fact that the size of the needle is smaller, so I think it may be a little bit more of an adjustment because the actual size of the needle, meaning the diameter, not the length, but the actual size of the needle is smaller than using, say, a size 4 or definitely a size 8 needle. But because the stiletto point is so pointy, and let's see if we can just hold it up here, and the join now is so smooth, these actually are extremely easy to work, and I do appreciate using these. Let me explain what I had explained to them when they were asking for testers, the way I knit my socks, because no method was great. I'm definitely a double point needle girl. That's my best way of knitting, my fastest way of knitting. But I hated casting on to all of those needles, and then somehow it always got twisted. So I always cast my socks on and did my ribbing with magic loop. Not my favorite method, but that's how I cast on. As soon as the ribbing was done, I switched over to double point needles. Did the cuff of my sock on double points. Then I would get to the heel. The heel I would do on 2 circulars. Half the stitches I would leave, the other half I would have on 1 needle, So I didn't have to worry about pushing and pulling and going back and forth and trying to purl with it. It was easier. I would just leave it. And then after the heel was done, back to the double points, finish the foot and down to the toe. So that's how I knit my socks, because I couldn't find any one particular method that I loved. So I used all three methods to try to get through my socks. And it wasn't a big problem. It was just kind of silly. So when I heard that they were testing and coming out with a 9-inch, and again, like I said, I have tried 9-inch needles before and I hated them. They were blunt. The cords were not very flexible. It was almost like somebody took a cord from, like, imagine your ChiaoGoo lace cord. Now these ChiaoGoo shorties, this is not the same cord that's on the lace tips, and these are lace shorties, but this cord is much more flexible. It's made to be smaller. It's the same thing with these signatures. The cord is very flexible. You're not fighting with the cord. It's not like somebody took a cord that works on a long 24, 32-inch, needle on a 5-inch needle hub, but they made the cord to work with the size of the tip. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. Because when you try to make a regular cord that is used to having a lot of room and a lot of flexibility, and you try to make that work in a 9-inch segment, and the cord is, you're fighting the cord, you're fighting the tips. And not only that, if they happen to have that swivel, that's not going to work. You're going to find that you're fighting with that too. So these two sets got it right. There's no swivel in this joint. This joint, and I wish I could get really in there and show you, because this was probably one of the biggest improvements that they made, was the join here. It is so smooth when you run your fingers over it, you can barely feel it. The cord is almost the same size as the back of the needle. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. The fact that it's not swiveling, you don't really need it to swivel. There's not enough play in the needle or twisting in the needle. Like when you have a 32-inch needle and a lot of stitches, yeah, you want that cord to swivel because you've got a lot of weight on it. You don't have that here. So if you have the cord swiveling and a hard join over here, you're basically fighting with everything. That's not the case with these needles. And I never thought, from, like I said, having used 9-inch needles before, and I didn't even save them. I threw them away. They were just unusable as far as I was concerned. I was very leery about trying them again, because not only did it hurt your hand, it hurt your hand to no avail. And I think it hurt your hand because it wasn't made well. It wasn't made to work as a 9-inch needle. And I think these needle companies have realized that and have found that people do want the smaller needle sizes to work sleeves, to work socks on a single fixed circular, but they needed to make adjustments unique to a 9-inch circular. And I think that's where these two needles stand out, is that they have both made the adjustments that needed to be made so that a 9-inch circular is just a little bit, you have to get used to that shorter tip. But if you get used to that shorter tip, it is actually a really nice, really usable, user-friendly needle. And I'm surprised to hear myself say that again, because like I said, I have thrown 9-inch needles in the garbage because they were just, I was fighting with everything with that needle and it wasn't worth it. So what I can say is I would be very curious. I'm almost like trying to speed knit this down to the heel. because I'm curious. I'm going to do, I have my first sock finished. I will show that on the next episode. But I have my first sock finished, so I'm kind of committed to doing the Fish Lips Kiss heel on this one. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work if I can stay on this 9-inch circular and do the heel on here, or if I'm going to have to switch back to either 2 circulars or double points just to get through the heel. I'm hoping not, and then go on and finish to the toe. But, which I'm curious, actually, I think when you get to the toe, I think you're actually going to have to switch to double points or 2 circulars or something. I don't think you'll be able to do them from here. That's interesting. So I will have to get back to you on that one, on that part, if you can in fact do an entire sock on 9-inch circulars. Keep your eyes open for that for that upcoming review. But I do know that you can certainly finish a sleeve with the other ones, because basically all you're doing is decreasing, doing your knitting in the round, doing whatever decreases you have to do, doing some ribbing, and then binding off. So that's not an issue, but I am kind of curious, so stay tuned to see. I will add an addendum if you can do an entire sock on there, or if you have to switch over. So that's it for this review. Again, I just wanted to get that out there because I was very excited to try the 9-inch circulars for the sleeve, and then when the signature needles were finished, they actually came, I think, a day apart. I was like, well, great, I can review them both at the same time. So I do recommend them if you are looking for a way to avoid having to do magic loop or 2 circulars or double points or anything else on sleeves, on socks. Either one of these, again, the signatures only come in the 2.25, which is a US size 1 needle. The ChiaoGoo's right now, they do come in a smaller set, but I didn't really want those. I only use one size for socks, but I did get the shorty set in the size 4 to 8. I'm not sure I would think they would come out with an even larger set, because again, I think people would largely be using these for sleeves. I don't think this is really something you could use for hat. I think a 16-inch needle would be perfect. That's what I use for hats. So I think they nailed it. I would maybe like to see it go from a 3 to an 8. Maybe they'll come out with a size 3 tip that you can add on. But other than that, that's kind of my only quibble with this, is I would like to see it in a size 3, because again, as luck would have it, one of the sweaters that I am stuck on a sleeve is a size 3. So I'm stuck doing it in magic loop. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions about the needles, please leave your comments below. Ask me any questions. If there's anything I can help you with, I will link to Signature's website. And right now, Signature is running an introductory offer on the 9-inch sock needles. They are available for $35. And I will link the site where I purchased my ChiaoGoo's. It was from an Etsy shop. I believe they were $90 where I purchased them for the set. They came very quickly. Like I said, no problem. So I would recommend ordering from them. And again, if you have not been here before, welcome. And if you did like this episode, please give it a thumbs up. And remember to hit that subscribe button. There is one in the corner, one of these corners. Or you can hit the subscribe button below. Remember to hit the bell so that you'll be notified of any future upcoming episodes when I upload. And I look forward to seeing you soon.